First contact and insult. The massive starship that appeared over Singapore didn't arrive with weapons blazing or demands for Earth's surrender. Instead, it came bearing gifts, or so the Vexari claimed. Admiral Elena Santos stood at the window of the United Earth Defense Command headquarters, watching another convoy of alien shuttles descend through the morning haze. 6 months had passed since first contact, and the pattern was always the same. The Vexari would arrive, dump what they called technological assistance packages at designated sites, and leave with barely a word to the humans they claimed to be helping. Another delivery of their finest garbage, Admiral Commander David Chen said, entering her office with a tablet displaying the latest scans. They're not even trying to hide what they think of us anymore. Elena took the tablet, her dark eyes narrowing as she studied the readouts. The Vexari Confederation claimed to be uplifting humanity, sharing technology to help Earth join the galactic community. But Elena had spent enough time analyzing their gifts to know better. They were being given scraps, damaged components, obsolete systems, and literal technological trash. "Have Dr. Wei's team finished analyzing yesterday's delivery?" she asked, still scanning through the data. "Yes, ma'am." "It's the same as always, mostly broken components and outdated tech." But David hesitated, lowering his voice despite being alone in the office. "They found something interesting this time. A partially intact quantum computing core. The Vexari probably thought it was beyond repair, but Dr. Wei thinks we can get it working." Elena set down the tablet and turned to face the Singapore skyline again. The Vexari ship hung above it like a silent reminder of humanity's supposed inferiority. Their first meetings with the alien delegation had made their position clear. Humans were primitives, barely worth notice except as a potential future market for Vexari goods. These aid shipments were just public relations, meant to create goodwill and dependency. "They're so convinced of their superiority that they've become careless," Elena said, a plan forming in her mind. "They don't think we can understand their technology, let alone improve upon it. That's their weakness." She turned back to David. "Get me a secure channel to all UED facilities. It's time we started Project Phoenix." Within hours, Elena had outlined her proposal to the other UED commanders. Instead of protesting the Vexari's insulting aid, they would embrace it. Teams of Earth's best engineers and scientists would be assembled in secret facilities around the globe. Every piece of alien tech, no matter how damaged, would be studied and reverse-engineered. Dr. Sarah Chin, David's sister and one of Earth's leading experts in quantum mechanics, was chosen to head the primary research facility hidden beneath the Australian outback. As Elena toured the facility 2 weeks later, she watched teams of engineers carefully sorting through the latest Vexari delivery. "They think they're giving us broken toys," Sarah explained, leading Elena through her lab. "But even their garbage is centuries ahead of our technology. More importantly, we're learning how they think and where they've stopped thinking." She gestured to a workbench where her team had disassembled what appeared to be part of a Vexari shield generator. "Look at this. Their technology is incredibly advanced, but it's also stagnant. They haven't truly innovated in generations. Everything is built to their standard templates, using the same methods they've used for centuries." "And you think we can do better?" Elena asked, though she already knew the answer. She'd chosen Sarah for exactly this reason. The scientist had a reputation for thinking far outside conventional boundaries. Sarah's eyes lit up with excitement. "We already are. Their shield technology relies on perfect crystalline matrices. When even one crystal fails, the whole system fails. We're developing hybrid systems using Earth materials that are less efficient but far more resilient. They'd never even consider such an approach. It's too primitive by their standards." The next few months saw a flurry of activity as similar breakthroughs were made across all research sites. The Vexari continued their condescending deliveries, never suspecting that each piece of scrap they delivered was being transformed into something new. something that combined their advanced technology with human ingenuity and determination. Elena received weekly progress reports, each more encouraging than the last. Earth's scientists weren't just copying Vexari technology. They were reimagining it, finding new approaches that the aliens had never considered. Where Vexari systems were efficient but fragile, human hybrid systems were robust and adaptable. Where Vexari designs followed centuries of tradition, human engineers innovated and experimented. They'd forgotten the value of imperfection, Sarah told Elena during one update briefing. Evolution doesn't seek perfection, it seeks survival. And sometimes, the ability to adapt and survive is more important than theoretical efficiency. As Elena watched another Vexari ship arrive with its cargo of technological cast-offs, she allowed herself a small smile. Let them think they were keeping humanity dependent and inferior. Every piece of scrap they delivered brought Earth one step closer to showing the galaxy what humans could really do. The Vexari's greatest mistake wasn't in giving humanity their damaged technology. It was in assuming that humans would be limited by the Vexari's own lack of imagination. Hidden potential. Deep beneath the red earth of the Australian outback, Dr. Sarah Chen stood before a holographic display that filled her underground laboratory with an eerie blue glow. The damaged Vexari quantum core they'd salvaged last month floated before her, its intricate pathways laid bare by their scanning technology. "Try the new configuration," she called out to her team. Dr. Raj Patel, their quantum computing specialist, input a series of commands. The hologram shifted, showing their hybrid human-Vexari interface attempting to connect with the alien technology. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the core hummed to life. The entire lab erupted in cheers. It had taken them 3 weeks of non-stop work, but they'd managed to not only repair the broken quantum core, but integrate it with Earth-based systems. More importantly, they'd done it their way, not the Vexari's. "Send the data to Admiral Santos," Sarah ordered, already moving to the next phase of their work. "And get me the analysis of those shield harmonics we recovered from last week's delivery." The Project Phoenix facility had grown considerably over the past 3 months. What had started as a single lab now sprawled through a network of underground chambers, each dedicated to a different aspect of their work. Engineers and scientists from every corner of Earth worked in shifts around the clock, driven by a common purpose: proving humanity's worth. In her office, Sarah reviewed the latest intelligence from their Vexari benefactors. The aliens had recently established a permanent diplomatic presence on Earth, supposedly to better coordinate their technological assistance program. In reality, it was to ensure humanity remained dependent on their handouts. Her tablet chimed with an incoming call from her brother. David's face appeared on the screen, looking more serious than usual. "We've got a situation, sis. The Vexari are asking questions about some of the missing components from their last delivery." Sarah felt her heart rate increase but kept her voice steady. "What kind of questions?" "Nothing specific yet, but Ambassador Kexry mentioned during this morning's meeting that their inventory systems showed some discrepancies. They're probably just being their usual controlling selves, but we need to be careful." Sarah nodded, already thinking through contingencies. "We'll accelerate the development of our cover story. Have some of the components discovered in damaged condition during processing. Make it look like their precious technology was too fragile for our primitive handling methods." David's expression darkened. "I hate playing into their prejudices." "I know," Sarah said softly. "But their arrogance is our best protection right now. They'll believe what they expect to believe, that we're too primitive to understand their technology, let alone repurpose it." After ending the call, Sarah made her way to the facility's newest section. Behind heavy security doors, a massive chamber had been excavated from the bedrock. Inside, surrounded by scaffolding and construction equipment, something was taking shape. Dr. Maya Rodriguez, their chief engineer, met her at the entrance. "The whole integration is proceeding ahead of schedule," she reported, leading Sarah toward the growing framework. "The Vexari alloys respond surprisingly well to our modified manufacturing processes. Better than they should, actually. Sarah studied the skeletal beginning of what would become humanity's first true starship. Unlike the sleek, standardized designs of Vexari vessels, this ship was being built to human specifications. Its hull would combine salvaged alien alloys with Earth metals in a unique lattice structure that Maya's team had developed. They designed everything to theoretical perfection. Maya continued, pointing out various features. But we're designing for adaptability and survival. See these junction points. A Vexari ship would have single, flawless connections. We're building in redundancies, alternative pathways, the ability to reroute systems on the fly. How long until we can begin installing the quantum core? Sarah asked, making notes on her tablet. 2 weeks, maybe less. We've actually made a breakthrough with the power distribution system. Instead of trying to recreate their crystalline networks, we're using a hybrid approach. Multiple smaller networks that can function independently or together. Less efficient on paper, but harder to disable, Sarah finished. And easier to repair in the field. She smiled, remembering the Vexari ambassador's dismissive remarks about humanity's crude engineering practices. If only they knew. A commotion from the main lab interrupted their discussion. Sarah rushed back to find her team clustered around a testing chamber, expressions ranging from shocked to elated. "Dr. Chen, you need to see this," Raj called out. "We were running standard diagnostics on the quantum core integration when we discovered. Well, look." The holographic display showed energy patterns unlike anything in their previous tests. The hybrid system they'd created wasn't just working. It was working in ways the Vexari had never imagined. Their quantum technology is designed to process information in very specific ways, Raj explained, excitement making his words tumble out faster. But by integrating it with our systems, we've created new computational pathways. The core isn't just processing data, it's learning, adapting, finding solutions that shouldn't be possible according to Vexari engineering principles. Sarah stared at the readings, her mind racing with possibilities. They've used the same designs for so long, they'd forgotten there might be other ways to solve problems. They see their technology as finished, perfect. But we see it as a beginning. Maya finished, a foundation to build upon. Later that night, as Sarah prepared her weekly report for Admiral Santos, she thought about the Vexari ships that continued to arrive in orbit, still dumping their technological scraps with such casual disdain. Each delivery brought new resources, new opportunities, new chances to prove that humanity's primitive approach to problem-solving might be exactly what was needed to push technology forward. The Vexari thought they were maintaining their superiority by sharing only their cast-offs. Instead, they were providing humanity with exactly what it needed to surpass them, piece by salvaged piece. Breaking point. Admiral Elena Santos stood in the heart of Project Phoenix's command center, surrounded by holographic displays showing real-time data from across human space. 6 months of careful preparation were about to be put to the test, though not in the way they'd planned. "Report," she ordered as Commander David Chen rushed into the room. 3 Vexari cruisers just dropped out of FTL near the Mars colony, he said, bringing up tactical displays. "They're demanding immediate access to our processing facilities. According to Ambassador Kexri, their monitoring systems detected unauthorized energy signatures consistent with restricted military technology." Elena's jaw tightened. They'd known this confrontation was coming, but not so soon. "What about the Phoenix?" Dr. Chen reports final integration tests are at 90%. The ship could launch, but weapons and defensive systems aren't fully calibrated. Before Elena could respond, the main screen lit up with an incoming transmission. Ambassador Kexri's angular face appeared, mandibles twitching with barely concealed contempt. "Admiral Santos," the Vexari diplomat said, "I trust you understand the gravity of this situation. The unauthorized use of military-grade technology by pre-qualification species is a severe violation of Confederation law. Your processing facilities will be inspected immediately." Elena kept her expression neutral. Ambassador, we've followed all provided guidelines for handling your generous technological assistance. If there's been some misunderstanding. The only misunderstanding, Kexri interrupted, was our assumption that your species could be trusted with even basic technology. Confederation ships will begin their inspection in 1 standard hour. Any attempt to delay or interfere will be considered an act of aggression. The transmission cut off. The Lena immediately activated her secure link to the Australian facility. Sarah Chen's hologram appeared, her usual composed demeanor showing signs of strain. "We heard," Sarah said before Elena could speak. "We're accelerating final integration now. Maya's team is rerouting power through secondary systems to mask our energy signature. How long do you need?" Sarah glanced off-screen, presumably consulting with her team. 40 minutes minimum. But Admiral, even if we get everything online, the Phoenix isn't ready for combat. We haven't tested the hybrid weapon systems under real conditions. "We're out of options," Elena replied. "Better to launch now than let them find everything we've built. Commander Chen will coordinate with orbital defense to buy you as much time as possible. Just get that ship spaceworthy." Deep beneath the Australian desert, Project Phoenix's massive assembly chamber had become a storm of activity. Dr. Maya Rodriguez directed her engineering teams with the precision of a conductor leading an orchestra. Each group focused on their crucial part of the launch preparation. "Reroute power through the auxiliary matrices," she ordered, hands flying over her control panel. "Divert non-essential systems to the dummy grid. Make them chase shadows while we power up the real systems." The Phoenix itself dominated the chamber, its unique design a testament to human ingenuity. Where Vexeri ships were elegant collections of sweeping curves and standardized components, the Phoenix was something entirely new. Its hull combined salvaged alien alloys with Earth metals in a layered pattern that Maya's team had developed, creating a surface that could adapt to damage by redistributing structural load. Sarah moved through the organized chaos, checking critical systems and making final adjustments. The quantum core they'd modified was now the heart of the ship, its hybrid nature allowing it to process information in ways the Vexeri had never imagined. Around it, they'd built systems that broke every rule of conventional alien engineering. "Shield harmonics stabilizing," Raj reported from his station. "The multi-phase emitters are sensing better than expected. We're actually seeing a 15% increase in coverage compared to simulations." A warning klaxon cut through the activity. David's voice came over the comm system. "Vexeri ships are moving to enter orbit. Orbital defense is engaging diplomatic protocols, but they're not buying it. You have maybe 20 minutes." Sarah reached the bridge, or rather, the Phoenix's combat information center. Unlike Vexeri ships that relied almost entirely on AI control, they'd designed the Phoenix to be run by human operators working in concert with computational systems. The bridge reflected this philosophy, with stations arranged to facilitate both human interaction and integration with the ship's hybrid technology. "Begin power-up sequence," she ordered, taking her position at the central console. "Initiate full-spectrum camouflage." This was perhaps their greatest innovation, using principles reverse-engineered from scattered pieces of Vexeri technology. They'd developed a system that didn't just mask the ship's energy signature, it made the Phoenix appear to be something else entirely. To outside sensors, the facility would read as a collection of mining equipment and standard power systems. 17 minutes to contact. David's voice updated them. "They're not slowing down." Maya joined Sarah on the bridge, her hands still covered in engine grease. Primary and secondary drive systems are online. Hull integrity at 93%. Not perfect, but good enough to survive. Sarah finished. It had become something of a mantra among the Phoenix teams. The Vexeri's obsession with perfection had made them forget that sometimes being adaptable was more important than being flawless. "All stations, report readiness," Sarah called out. One by one, the responses came back. Not every system was fully calibrated, not every connection was operating at peak efficiency, but they were operational. The Phoenix might not be perfect, but it was ready to fly. Vexari ships entering upper atmosphere, David reported. 14 minutes. Sarah took a deep breath, looking around at her crew, the best minds Earth had to offer, united in their determination to prove humanity's worth. Begin launch sequence. It's time to show them what humans can do with a pile of scraps. Above them, the massive launch doors began to open, revealing a slice of star-filled sky. The Phoenix's engines hummed to life, their unique harmonics a combination of salvaged Vexari technology and human innovation. In orbit, 3 Vexari cruisers moved to begin their inspection, unaware that they were about to witness something unprecedented in the history of their confederation. Humanity's first true starship was about to take flight, built from the very technology the Vexari had discarded. And in doing so, it would change the balance of power in ways the aliens had never imagined possible. First flight. The Phoenix erupted from its underground hangar in a controlled explosion of power, its hybrid engines burning with a peculiar purple-blue flame that had never been seen in human or Vexari ships before. Debris and dust cascaded around its hull as it shot upward through the Australian night sky, accelerating faster than any Earth-built craft had ever managed. In the Combat Information Center, Sarah Chen gripped her console as the ship's artificial gravity compensated for their rapid ascent. Status report. Hull integrity holding at 92%. Maya responded from the engineering station. Power distribution is stable across all networks. The quantum core is. It's actually optimizing itself. Raj, are you seeing this? Confirmed. Raj called out from his position monitoring the ship's hybrid systems. The core is adapting to real-world conditions, creating new processing pathways. It's learning, exactly like we hoped it would. On their main display, they could see the 3 Vexari cruisers adjusting their course, finally registering the Phoenix's unexpected emergence. The alien ships were impressive examples of their civilization's engineering, sleek, standardized, and perfect in every way their designers could imagine. Incoming transmission from the Vexari command ship, their communications officer announced. Put it through, Sarah ordered, straightening in her chair. Ambassador Kexri's face appeared on the screen, his expression a mixture of shock and outrage. What is the meaning of this? How dare you conceal military operations from the Confederation? Power down your vessel immediately and prepare to be boarded. I'm afraid we can't do that, Ambassador, Sarah replied calmly. The Phoenix is a legitimate product of your technology assistance program. We've simply used your generous gifts in ways you hadn't considered. Impossible. Kexri's mandibles clattered in agitation. Your species lacks the capability to. Multiple weapons locks detected. Maya interrupted. They're powering up their main weapon arrays. Sarah cut the transmission. Activate defensive systems. Let's see if our modifications work as well in practice as they did in simulation. The Vexari ships opened fire, their energy weapons lancing out with deadly precision. But instead of impacting directly on the Phoenix's shields, something unprecedented happened. The hybrid defense system they developed split each incoming beam into multiple components, dispersing their energy across a wider area. Shields holding at 87%, Raj reported, excitement clear in his voice. The multi-phase harmonics are working better than we predicted. Their targeting computers can't get a solid lock because we're constantly shifting frequencies. On the main screen, they could see the Vexari ships adjusting their formation, likely preparing for a more coordinated attack. Their movements were textbook perfect, following battle strategies that had been refined over centuries. They're trying to trap us in a standard containment pattern, Sarah observed, exactly like their tactical databases suggested they would. Maya, is the drive system ready for full power? Ready and eager, Maya replied with a grin. All subsystems are green. The core has finished its initial adaptation phase. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Show them what free thinking can do. Engage hybrid drive. Full power. The Phoenix's engines flared brighter, their unique energy signature pulsing with possibilities that had never occurred to Vexari engineers. Where conventional drives pushed ships through space in predictable ways, their hybrid system created localized distortions in spacetime itself, allowing for maneuvers that should have been impossible. The massive ship pirouetted between the Vexeri cruisers with a grace that belied its size, its movement more like a dancer than a warship. The alien vessels tried to track it, but their targeting systems were calibrated for standard drive signatures and conventional evasive patterns. They're attempting to establish a wideband energy block, Raj reported. Standard Vexeri protocol for dealing with unusual drive signatures. Perfect, Sarah replied. Deploy the resonance countermeasures. This was another innovation born from studying discarded Vexeri technology. They discovered that the aliens' sophisticated sensor systems could be overwhelmed by deliberately introducing harmonic interference patterns. The Phoenix began broadcasting on multiple frequencies simultaneously, creating a sensor environment so complex that the Vexeri ship's automated systems began to falter. Their targeting efficiency has dropped to 40%, Maya announced. They're having to rely on manual control now, something their crews probably haven't had to do in generations. The Phoenix continued its dance through space, demonstrating capabilities that violated every principle of Vexeri ship design. Its hybrid shields absorbed and redirected energy in ways their sensors couldn't predict. Its drive system allowed it to move in patterns their tactical computers couldn't analyze. Even its hull seemed to adapt to their attacks, the unique layered structure dispersing impact energy instead of trying to simply resist it. Admiral Santos is reporting that Earth Defense Forces are mobilizing, their communications officer announced. But she's suggesting we withdraw rather than escalate the situation further. Sarah nodded. They'd made their point. More importantly, they'd gathered valuable data about how their systems performed against actual Vexeri technology. Plot a course out of the system. Let's show them one more surprise before we go. The Phoenix's engines pulsed with a new pattern, and suddenly the ship seemed to fade from view. Not true invisibility. They hadn't managed that yet, but rather a form of cognitive camouflage that made the ship difficult for both sensors and organic minds to focus on. Stealth systems functioning within parameters, Raj confirmed. As far as their sensors are concerned, we're just another piece of space debris. As they moved past the frustrated Vexeri vessels, Sarah thought about all the garbage they'd been given over the months. Every piece of scrap, every damaged component, every bit of obsolete technology had taught them something. The Vexeri had thought they were maintaining their superiority by sharing only their cast-offs, but they'd actually given humanity exactly what it needed: the chance to learn, to adapt, and to innovate. Send a final message to the Vexeri command ship, she ordered. Tell them, thank you for your generous technological assistance. We look forward to showing you what else we've learned. The Phoenix disappeared into the depths of space, leaving behind 3 Vexeri cruisers and a lot of very uncomfortable questions about just how primitive humanity really was. Changing the game. 3 months after the Phoenix's dramatic debut, the Vexeri Confederation's Grand Assembly convened an emergency session. The massive chamber, designed to showcase the Confederation's power and technological superiority, now buzzed with uncomfortable questions about a species they'd dismissed as primitive. Ambassador Kexery stood before his peers, mandibles twitching nervously as he delivered his report. The humans didn't just repair our discarded technology, he explained, projecting images of the Phoenix's capabilities. They transformed it, created hybrid systems that operate on principles our engineers insist should be impossible. In the observation gallery, Admiral Elena Santos and Dr. Sarah Chen watched the proceedings with carefully neutral expressions. They'd been invited to attend as representatives of Earth's technological development program, a diplomatic fiction that barely disguised the Confederation's desperate need to understand what they'd achieved. They still don't get it, Sarah whispered to Elena as another Vexeri official demanded to know how humans had managed to bypass their technology controls. They're looking for some trick, some secret method. They can't accept that we simply thought about problems differently. The Phoenix's success had sent shockwaves through the galactic community. In the months following its reveal, the ship had responded to 3 separate emergency calls from colony worlds under attack by pirates. Each encounter had demonstrated new capabilities that left observers stunned. The hybrid drive system allowed it to appear seemingly out of nowhere. Its adaptive shields shrugged off attacks that should have crippled it, and its innovative weapons found ways around even the most sophisticated defenses. But it wasn't just the Phoenix's military capabilities that had the Confederation worried. Other human engineering teams, inspired by Project Phoenix's success, had begun applying the same principles to civilian technology. Earth's shipyards were now producing vessels that combined Vexari salvage with human innovation in ways that consistently outperformed standard designs. The assembly recognizes High Commander Vel-2, the session leader announced. A tall Vexari military officer stepped forward, his ceremonial armor gleaming under the chamber's lights. "The military implications of this situation cannot be ignored," he stated firmly. "The humans have demonstrated the ability to take our discarded technology and create weapons we cannot easily counter. Our standard tactical databases have no effective response to their hybrid systems, an ability they gained through our misguided charity." Another delegate interrupted. "We should never have given them access to any of our technology, no matter how obsolete." "I disagree." A new voice cut through the growing argument. All eyes turned to Elder Kessel, one of the Confederation's most respected scientists. The ancient Vexari moved slowly to the speaker's position, his age-darkened scales reflecting his centuries of experience. "We did not fail by giving them technology," Kessel said, his voice carrying the weight of authority. "We failed by forgetting one of the most fundamental principles of scientific advancement. There is always another way to solve a problem." The elder activated his own display, showing detailed analyses of human innovations. "Look at how they approached our technology. Where we seek perfection, they seek adaptability. Where we standardize, they diversify. Where we optimize for peak performance, they optimize for survival." He turned to face the assembly directly. "The humans have not simply copied our technology. They have forced us to confront our own stagnation. When was the last time any of our engineering teams created something truly new? When did we last solve a problem in a way that hadn't been used for centuries?" An uncomfortable silence fell over the chamber. Elena glanced at Sarah, seeing her own thoughts reflected in the scientist's expression. This was the moment that would determine humanity's future relationship with the galactic community. Elder Kissel continued, "I move that we officially recognize humanity's technological achievements and open formal negotiations for full membership in the Confederation, not as primitives to be uplifted, but as equals who have shown us new ways of thinking." The debate that followed was intense, but in the end, the evidence was too compelling to ignore. The Phoenix and its successors had demonstrated that humanity's primitive approach to problem-solving could produce results that the Confederation's rigid perfectionism had never imagined. 3 days later, Elena and Sarah stood in the Phoenix's CIC, preparing to return to Earth. The ship had been modified several times since its first flight, each iteration incorporating new lessons and innovations. It was no longer unique. Dozens of hybrid vessels now served in Earth's growing fleet, but it remained a symbol of what humanity could achieve. "The Vexari have requested technical exchanges," Elena told her crew, a hint of amusement in her voice. "They want to understand how we developed our hybrid systems. Apparently, some of their younger engineers are quite excited about exploring alternative optimization paradigms." "Should we tell them the real secret?" Maya asked from her station, grinning. "That sometimes the best way to solve a problem is to ignore everything you think you know about solving problems." Sarah laughed, running her hand along her console's smooth surface. Every part of the Phoenix contained salvaged Vexari technology, but none of it was being used quite the way its original designers had intended. That was humanity's true gift, the ability to see beyond established limits, to find new paths where others saw only dead ends. "Set a course for home," she ordered. and let's see what other impossible things we can achieve along the way. As the Phoenix's hybrid drive engaged, its unique energy signature pulsing with possibilities that had never occurred to the Vexari, Sarah thought about how far they'd come. The aliens had given them scraps, thinking to keep humanity dependent and inferior. Instead, they'd provided the tools humanity needed to prove its worth, not by following in the Confederation's footsteps, but by blazing its own trail among the stars. The ship disappeared into faster-than-light travel, its passage marked by a flash of purple-blue light that still defied conventional explanation. In its wake, it left a galaxy that was finally beginning to understand a crucial truth. Sometimes the most remarkable innovations come not from achieving perfection, but from finding new ways to work with imperfection. And that was something humans had always excelled at.